Namaskar and welcome to the series of discussions and conversations we are having with Dr. N. Bhaskar Rao on the theme Rejuvenating our Republic, Mission 2050. India in the year 2050 will complete 100 years as a republic nation. While we got our independence in 1947, we became a republic in 1950 when we adopted the constitution and got an identity as an independent country. How and why is 100 years relevant? We will have a discussion with Dr. Bhaskar Rao on these issues. Dr. N. Bhaskar Rao is an eminent author, scholar, and social scientist with more than 60 years of experience in studying various issues of governance, including electoral processes, social issues in our country, governance, and media and communication, and many more. With him, we will understand what are the ways and means we can revive and rejuvenate our republic. As a nation with more people who are younger than 30 years, what significance does the concept of New India create for them? And why is looking at a republic and reviving the republic by the time we reach 100 years in 2050, which is almost 25 years from now, how do we reach there? What do we do to revive it? Dr. Rao has identified 5 key themes which he wants to talk about in these series of discussions. We start the discussion today looking at the first one, which is on which is titled The Little Republics of India, where we will talk about villages and how villages play a very critical role in reviving our republic. And sir, welcome. Thank you for taking this conversation on Rejuvenating the Republic, Mission 2050. So can we start by your first theme that you have identified on Rejuvenating the Republic, on the Little Republics of India? Can you explain to us what is this concept of Little Republics of India and why is it important when we talk about New India?
Thank you, Dr. Vasanthi. I'm very happy that the Little Republics of India are being remembered in this conversation today. India 75 years ago was known by its villages.
Yes.
Villages were known by its culture, by its how they were being administered or how they are self-sustaining. Mm-hmm. That process of self-sustaining itself was a great thing in the global sense. Mm-hmm. And so people were talking about India's little republics, because not just because there were 560,000 villages in India, but the kind of role they were playing mm-hmm. in sustaining India as a unique model mm-hmm. in the world, in the governance pattern, mm-hmm. how people themselves could get going mm-hmm. with the growth model, with their upkeeping, with their children, mm-hmm. education and knowledge and all that. Now, it was these characteristics which distinguished India very uniquely.
Okay.
Now, that being the case, now our early pioneers mm-hmm. who devised or who perceived the modern India, mm-hmm. the Gokhale, Tilak, mm-hmm. Gandhi, mm-hmm. Subhash Bose, Netaji, Rajaji, and people like that, mm-hmm. they all thought about India in the sense from a village perspective of a village, in terms of how they are administered, how they are productive, how they are growing up and all that. Mm-hmm. And in fact, we used to take pride of India when an important people from other countries, for example, when Eisenhower came to India first time in 1951, we took pride in taking him to a village and showing him how great our villages were. Mm-hmm. When Kennedy came to India in 1961, 10 years later, we still showed our village. We took him to a village. Mm-hmm. Khrushchev from Soviet Union, mm-hmm. At that time, it was the Soviet Union. When he came first visited to India, we took him to a village to show how the Indian community, the rural community, village as a community was unique as compared to the Soviet Union models. So that was the context. Now, the decline of the villages from that stature to the later years is the thing that we need to recall, recapitulate, and see what happened, how it happened. Only then we can think of rejuvenating the Republic of India. Unless the little republics are watched,
nurtured,
we can't think of the Republic India. In 2050, that is 25 years from now. So we have 25 years to correct, rectify if there are any lapses that have gone into this pride that we used to take about villages of India.
Dr. Rao, we don't talk much about our villages nowadays, but we talk about rural India as if they are synonymous with the rural India. However, rural India over the years in our 75 years of independence have been getting a lot of importance in terms of a lot of schemes and programs, especially for them. Even now we are talking about farmers and we're talking about many more programs for rural India. How come then, why are they still neglected? Why do you feel they're still neglected?
Exactly. This is the dilemma, Dr. Vasanthi. That is why I have been looking into this thing in the last 2 years more specifically. Although I come from a village, I am known as a village boy in New Delhi, and my pursuit of a village as a community, as a viable community, started 60 years ago when as a master's degree I did study of my own village in 1962. When I came to know that when India became a republic, the first thing that we did, the wise men of the time did first national credit survey they did to find out how to sustain the village communities. The credit to farmers and villagers, the weavers of India. Weavers of India were the old standards we have set in every field. The villages of India have set the standards. The Britishers have taken everything from here, from the villages of India. So the credit survey was carried in 1951 to sustain that momentum. And it was 1956. Balwantrai Mehta committee was formed and which recommended a 3-tier system of governance for the India. Whereby the rural is divided into 3 levels: the village, the mandal and the district level, Jilla Parishad, what is called. So unless we make these viable, sustainable
at each level,
governance, local governance, what is called local governance is strengthened locally, we can't really think of,
a republic.
So bottom up was the outlook. So from that, there we have gone into last 2 years. I am living in the village more than in New Delhi. Now in the process, and because of long-term staying in the village, I come to know more about the village, and what I hear in Delhi about villages is altogether different than what I found myself staggering, astonishing, concerning, disgusting.
Are they languishing, sir?
So I wrote 3 books in Telugu during this period. Last 1 year, the other book is not there here, but the first book is, don't we need to take pride of our villages? So how do we take pride of our villages? Is the first book. The second book was, unless the women of India, the women of villages or empowered or unleash their
Potential.
capabilities, their potential, we can't think of a better India. That was the second book. The third book was the children of the villages. In terms of education, in terms of upbringing, their faculties, mental faculties, are unleashed. What are we doing? What were we doing before? How, in the first 25 years of independent India, the people who have educated have gone globally and set standards for the global. In fact, if you see today the global leaders in the economy, in the technology, you name any field, they're all Indians of that generation. And what about, so that is the perspective that I looked into in this last 2 years.
Yes.
And I was really aghast. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this subject today, the little republics of India, is that they are languishing. As you asked the question, yes, they are languishing. And why they are languishing is what we need to know. But unfortunately, today's political parties or political leadership is not so much concerned about cognizance of that process of the decline. The decline of villages of India is decline of India. This fact doesn't seem to have gone into the serious attention. So what I am trying to do now is, through this program, is to remind the nation that let us not forget the pride of India is villages. And how do we keep that pride? How do we hold to that pride? And that's what I want to do. First thing is that the decline is in terms of structures of the village as a community, how they rule, how they govern, the resources of local resources, and how the values, relationships in the family as a unit, how that is being kept up, why that has fallen. That's the number one. Number two is the dependency syndrome. The very concept of little republics is they are not dependent.
Self-reliant.
They are self-reliant. Now, we have made them as a dependent on government. Government, whichever government it is there, every government wants them to be dependent on them. So they are dole-outs. Now, examples I can give you from my own village. What used to be 3 people used to run the village in all respects. Now there are 33 people. Now you can understand, and most of these 33 people are all from outside the village.
What do they do?
Well, that's exactly the least government is the best government. That's known all over. All best economists of the world will told us this long ago.
It's logical.
But we are just doing the opposite.
Okay.
If you study the villages today, in the name of this, the new initiatives, what is the outcome? This is one example. Similarly, if you take the trees, for example, if you start chopping the neem tree, how the environment, if you don't value, if you don't enrich, respect the environment.
So are you saying that in the village, the beautiful ambience, as a village, as a Delhiite, completely for us, a concept of a village is lush, green, beautiful.
It's all gone.
Lovely fields.
All going because the lakes, the ponds, lakes in the village are being made into fish
tanks.
And the trees are being cut, not used. The neem tree, most important thing to preserve the health and ambience of that. The good thing is that digitalization is reaching the villages. It's a good thing.
Yes.
But that alone is not enough. People out migration is on the increase. Nobody is going to the villages. They are getting vacated.
Okay, so who's in the village now?
Now people, the labor class, the people who are dependent on dole-outs are remaining in the villages. This is the most unfortunate thing that people are not realizing in Delhi, that dole out dependent people are remaining in the villages.
So-
the remaining are going out of the villages. One important point that I missed, that is the role that farmers of India have made from a scarcity. The first 25 years of India,
We used to
or
import,
first 10
huh?
years, we are scarcity. There is no food.
Yes.
We have to import. Today,
We are
we are
surplus.
exporting. We are surplus. Scarcity to surplus. Who made this possible? It is the farmers of India. It is the villages of India which made it possible. Today we are exporting. If we don't send the rice to American food shops or in despair. So that was the situation today. So the farmers are in distress. So many efforts, so many initiatives are being announced. But it is not making the kind of difference that it is expected to make in terms of bringing some cheer in the farmers' outlook towards better future.
That's why there is a huge migration from rural to urban
Exactly,
India, and
exactly.
villages are getting emptied.
And towns and village and cities are not able to cope with the migration, provide the facilities, basic facilities, even in essential services are not able to provide. So on the other hand, villages are becoming the colonies, have become colonies, and they're now left out with people who are not productive in the sense as they were before.
So all the farmers have left farming and they're coming to the city as laborers.
Exactly, or some other avocation.
So they're no longer
The employment, that is also changing the complexity of employment situation in the cities and towns. But the point is, the one important aspect I have not touched because it's a very big subject is the local village resources are not being fully availed. For example, just to give one example, I have several examples to cite. House building. We have government after government, thousands and lakhs of houses are being provided, announced. Yes, good. They thought of houses for the poor, but what kind of houses? Local resources. What we are known, our houses are
Actually, in north there are different kind of houses.
Yes.
The south there are local material is used to make a house.
The houses built with the local resources.
Okay.
Sustainable, more environment friendly houses.
So we are actually creating
Today-
concrete houses even in the villages.
Today, nothing is locally available resource is used to make a house. Everything, every pin has to be imported to the village.
So in a way what you're saying is that most of our priorities and planning and resources are going to urban India, and in fact even rural India or the villages of India are trying to emulate to become a town or a
Exact.
city instead of retaining its uniqueness, as you rightly pointed out.
Yes, you see, Abdul Kalam, our former president, have rightly taken up urban services to rural India. It's a good idea, but what is not understood fully is not at the cost of displacing the local
Uniqueness.
Supplementing. For example, the digitalization is one supplement.
Yes.
If you take all the telecom revolution that has come in terms of phones, mobile and internet and all that is made available, why people are not going there? Theoretically in the last 10 years, people should have started going there.
Back to the village.
Back to the villages. But where is it possible? There is no example. In my village, in my neighborhood villages, I am the only one who has been shifted from Delhi to my village. Nobody has gone there. Why? This is the dilemma. Now, unless the seriousness of this dilemma, the implications of this dilemma are understood, the republic
concept
and in next And when it is 100 years in 2050, that is 25 years from now, we still have 25 years now to do something about it.
And that's the way you're talking about
That's
it.
why I'm talking. There are few things, there are at least 5, 6 most important, urgent ideas that need to go into the minds of our policy planners.
So, Dr. Rao, you've explained us the importance of the villages or the little republics and the importance of being self-reliant and nurturing the republics because they're important to our larger nation as a republic. So, can you tell us a little bit about your own understanding or your own reading and of course your experiences of staying in the village of what can we do to revive the little republics of India?
Yes, Dr. Vasanthi, I have a 60 years tracking of the villages. I'm talking with that background. I'm not talking just about casual visits to villages. I have been visiting villages every year for several decades. But now this time in the last 2 years, I'm staying there most of the time. The first and foremost is that we need to revive our pride in our villages.
Yes.
Pride in villages is a very important idea. We need to revive this in the children of India, first and foremost the children of India, the school going children of India, by providing them, by telling them what a great country this is, what a great traditions that we had, what values that we have. This is first and foremost thing about the village. The little republic concept is based on the pride of the past that we had of this
Unfortunately, the villages are synonymous with poverty.
Yes,
and all the backwardness of this nation.
We have become backward, become poverty now. Recently, they were not neither poor nor poverty ridden 70 years ago.
Okay.
It is the post-British era phenomena, and we are not able to reverse that. We tried in the first 20 years. There were, as I mentioned earlier, the first credit survey, the Balwant Mehta's report, and the 72-73 amendments to Panchayati Raj. All that, they were all landmark initiatives taken to revive that. But later on what happened was, this is my second important point that I want to make, is instead of decentralizing, which is what
all these efforts
were intended, we have centralizing
everything, including governance.
Including most important is governance. As I mentioned, instead of 3 people managing the resources, 33 people sent from state.
Okay. And what do they do is a mystery.
Well, they create jobs. What villagers should learn themselves. You make them dependent. This dependency syndrome, the roots of it is in the politicalization that has come in the last 40 years or 35 years in this country. The politicalization is because of the kind of elections, electioneering that has become the name of the game of the country. Unless we realize this and depoliticize, neither self-reliance will come through, nor the pride is possible, because the politicians are making them to the dole-out culture, dependency culture, and the schools are now, political parties are now entered the schools, education institutions. That reminds me, my 5th point, institutions of India, institutions of the villages, cooperatives, the societies, what people come together and do, that culture of cooperating, collaborating, instead of, it is now competing, dividing, has become the order of the day. Unless this modus operandi changes into a collaborative culture, we can't really revive the spirit of the village and bring back focus and the pride in the villages. So the institutions in the which are there, the panchayat, for example, the panchayats are now colonies, with villages becoming colonies. The scope itself has changed into electoral perspective.
Villages and the panchayati group are supposed to be the smallest or the most localist form of governance in our country.
Exactly.
Then you think they are not as active as they should be? And where are we missing? What is missing, sir?
Well, missing in the sense, these are the things. That is, first and foremost is the political parties entering the villages. No, earlier actually I have been talking for many years what is called the partyless governance. That the political parties should not enter the villages of India. The party should be in the legislature, that is assemblies and parliament.
At the state level.
At the state and the national level.
Okay.
Not enter the
villages
of India. So at the village level, the political party should not become, the candidates should be village candidates or concern of.
But sir, even today, most of our population lives in the villages and they are the vote banks of all politics. So if the villages have become vote banks, how can they not enter villages?
Well, this is the dilemma. That's what I call the dilemma. It is possible because the candidates, selection of the candidates should not be, they may belong to a party, but they should not contest as a party candidates.
Okay.
All that I am saying is the partyless elections. Partyless. The elections should take place. I am not against the elections, but they should not be based on party. Once you say that party candidate, you are dividing the people of the village.
Okay. On basis of parties.
On the basis of the, now because you divide them into parties, the caste comes to the surface.
Class.
Community becomes the case, and all kinds of things, pretty things, which are against the productivity, against the collaborative culture of the village,
become more important.
Harmony, village harmony is at stake today. Harmony, which is what the virtue of the village is
getting lost.
Now this brings me to the other point. Unless we attract people to the villages.
Okay.
What schemes we have? Do we have any schemes? Tourism. Do we have any village attractive schemes? They're all meant for high flown to destroying the local environment. The tourism means destroying the local environment. That is not what should attract people
back to the village.
Provide them wonderful environment. There are no mosquitoes. The drainage problem is not there. Things like that. And the local people themselves should solve the problems. They should not look for the government to solve something which they could themselves resolve.
So we can't end the conversation on villages without talking about our farmers, because they are the ones who are producing the food for our country. What we eat on our table today is produced in a village, and the farmer is in the heart of a village. They are the ones who are producing all the food for us. And again, there's so many schemes and so many policies and programs for the farmers today. But how are they not? Why is that farming today is not a lucrative business, and most farmers, as I know and as you've written quite a bit, is that they are leaving their profession and prefer to go to the city to earn for their livelihoods?
Children of farmers today don't want to continue. Neither the parents want them to continue in farming, nor the children themselves want to continue and they don't get the marriage is not possible. Marriage is also not happening in the farming community.
Wow.
So, Dr. Vasanthi, I don't want to talk about farming, because if I start talking about farming, the concept of little republics get diverted. Because farming and farmers have become politicized in India too much, beyond what is required. And we get into altogether a different...
But it is sad that nobody wants to be a farmer today.
Sad situation that farmers' distress is so obvious. Anybody who is in touch with the villages, not from Delhi, not occasionally, not election time, but if you are living with them, you see the kind of distress.
The hard work and the efforts.
They're not able to get what they deserve.
Okay.
So this is altogether a different subject that I would like to focus on separately.
Okay.
Because if we bring the farmers, they deserve a special attention. The concept of little republics, with what we wanted to discuss in this topic today, Dr. Vasanti, is altogether different. That is the little republics, our villages as a pride place. We need to revive them, rejuvenate them. Only then our Republic of India, next 25 years, will be able to
thrive
and achieve what our constitution, our republic idea wanted to achieve. That's what the little republic idea, what Mahatma Gandhi and many eminent people of this country envisioned 75, 80 years back.
Thank you, Dr. Rao, for this discussion on the Little Republics as the starting of the series that we are talking on, Rejuvenating our Republic. We will continue our discussion on the other themes that you have identified in this series. So with that, please do join us and watch the other episodes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Vasanti.